Thank you everyone for coming. County Supervisors, thank you for being present tonight. I'm going to call this meeting of Richland County Board of Supervisors to order on July 21st at 6 p.m. in the county boardroom on the third floor of the county courthouse. Roll call, please.
Carroll.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Schoonover.
Present.
Kramer.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Engel.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Welty.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Nolan. Harry.
Here.
Collins Johnsrud.
Here.
Kirk.
Here.
Goldsmith Tegla Pietra.
Here.
Frank. Here. Severson.
Present.
Williams.
Here.
Cooey. Wire.
Quorum.
We do.
Wonderful. Move on to our next agenda item, which is our verification of open meetings laws. Was this meeting properly posted?
Was.
Right. Move on to agenda item number 5, which is approval of agenda. I'm going to make a quick minor adjustment to the actual agenda that it is.
Mr. Chair.
I want to take agenda item.
Item number 3
Oh.
on the agenda. Pledge of allegiance.
Sure. It's not on our agenda, but yes, we can do the pledge of allegiance. Yes, it is. Sorry. Yep. All right. Supervisor Frank, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the opening prayer.
For the invocation from Pastor Leland Schmidt from the Grace Community Church.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, I come to you in the name of the Lord Jesus. I thank you for this group of people meeting in this room tonight. I thank you for their toil, their service to the people of this county. I thank you for the time and effort they give not only to a monthly meeting, but also the time outside of this evening and these walls. They seek to promote the welfare of all who reside in our county. Tonight, promoting the welfare of our county involves multiple considerations involving the consideration resolution aimed at creating a specialized committee tasked with assisting in the formation of emergency medical services district, as well as voting on creation of a new economic support lead position and confirming other positions of leadership and confirmation. Father, I see that there's standing room only here tonight. I would ask that you would bless this meeting tonight with vigorous discussion where needed, for passion over indifference, where people would represent the different perspectives represented by the different people in the room. And I ask that this robust discussion, they would respect each other in disagreement. In the process, your wisdom might rise to the surface and the people's welfare of this county be advanced. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Schmidt. Move on to our next agenda item, which is number 5. Look for approval of a 25-point agenda. However, I would like to take agenda item number 11, special orders of business, number A, or letter A, appointments for county supervisory districts. I would like to move that to be agenda item number 7. Is there an objection? We do have 2 candidates for supervisory districts 19 and 20. They're currently in this room right now, and so I want to take that item before all the rest so they can be a sitting member of the county board when we discuss other action. So what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, you can do that without a vote.
Okay, fine. So do I still need to approve the agenda?
You need to approve the agenda, yes,
Okay.
but with that amendment, with that change.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Kramer, second by Supervisor Thompson. Any further discussion on that agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6 is approved minutes for the June 2016, 2026 meeting. Additions or corrections, Supervisor Perry moves to accept the minutes as presented in our packets and has been published online, seconded by Supervisor Nolan. Any further discussion on our minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So I'm gonna move agenda item number 11A up right now that we have. And so we do have a supervisor, or not supervisor, we do have a person from District 19, Randy Schmidt, that is currently in our room, and then the supervisor or person from District 20, Dwayne McElvin. Okay, that is currently in this room. So if Mr. Schmidt would like to give his report from District 19 on who he is and the process. So how this would work is that it's a supervisor appointment according to the state statutes in chapter 17 that the county board does appoint supervisor members to the county board in the instance of a vacancy. So we had 2 applicants, 1 from each district. So District 19 applicant is Mr. Randy Schmidt. So Randy?
I'm Randy Schmidt. Dairy farmer down by Gulf in Wisconsin. Been involved was town chairman of Buena Vista for 20 years. I realize the importance of it starts with local government, I think that, and it moves up from there. I'm a firm believer in that, and that's how you get things done. Start at the bottom and work your way to the top. So, I don't know what you want, but that's what I got.
I think we need to take them separately at this time. So supervisors, what is your pleasure on?
Williamson moved to approve Mr. Randy Schmidt for District 19.
Supervisor Williamson approves to have Mr. Randy Schmidt be a sitting board member on the County Board of Supervisors for Richland County for District 19, seconded by Supervisor Welty. Any further discussion on Mr. Schmidt being a supervisor? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Schmidt, you can sit over here.
I think I'd rather be standing. Not
So
sure.
right now, we do have an applicant for District 20, which is Dwayne. How do you pronounce it? McElvain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Dwayne, do you want to give a speech?
Hi, everyone. My name is Dwayne McElvain. I'm an IT manager for a regional bank based out of Madison. My wife and I just moved to just outside of Lone Rock back in October, and we've been looking for ways to get locally involved. My district was unrepresented, which I think was a shame. So I wanted to step up and make sure my district is heard and get more involved locally. Any questions?
You heard Dwayne's comments. What is your pleasure? Supervisor McKee, you move to have Dwayne McElvain fill the seat of District 20 on the County Board of Supervisors for Richland County, seconded by Supervisor Collins Johnsry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
And a chair.
There we go. With being on the board right now, you do have full voting power, can make motions, decline them, and yes, and so now we do have to do an oath of office. So the county clerk, one of our constitutional officers, is going to give you the oath of office to be county supervisor. All right, at this point.
If I can read it. All right, put your hand in the air. I state your name.
I, Randall R. Schmidt.
I, Dwayne McElvain.
Having been elected or appointed to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 20, 19, and 20.
Should we repeat that?
Yes, please.
Having been elected or appointed to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 19.
Having been elected or appointed to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 20.
But have not yet entered upon the duties thereof,
But
Have not yet entered upon the duties thereof.
swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Swear or affirm
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
Will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Like,
Thank you. Sure, there might be one. Oh, God, we are.
So anybody has any more public comments? They have sheets, please turn them up here to me. So I can put them into the stack that I already have. Since we did on agenda item number 11A, we're gonna stop with agenda items 11. There's B and C still yet. We're gonna move back up to agenda item number 8 now, which would be public comment. Seven. Okay. So I do have a stack of public comments. I kind of tried to keep them in the order that I received them. And so I'm going to start out here. So I'm going to start out here with the one I received from Donald Bingham. He's from Mineral Point, talking about a hydro farm that is in the township of Muscadet. Donald, as supervisors, you did receive a packet of information from him.
My name is Donald R. Bingham, who live in Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Actually, I was born and raised here in Richland County. So I highly have a relationship with people. I've been on for 55 years in the book. Believe that. What happened here is that we're talking about the financing here. You people are involved. Why are we here? We're talking about Grant County and Township of Muscadet, Wisconsin. Here we are, Richland Center. I'm from Mineral Point. This project that I'm talking about would employ people not only from the Grant County, but also Richland and all the counties in the area. So that's where we're at. And so here's the way it worked out. 34 acre hydroponic greenhouse. 2 more builds proposed for it. Additional ones if everything went well. The R&M hydroponic bond was financed October 31st, 2018. Didn't learn that until March 1st of this year. R&M Hydro Farms received $0. David Ryan, Foley and Marner LLP was the bond counsel. He told me that I should go out early 2019, find the financers, either directly myself or through financial advisors. And as I moved forward, I kept getting stonewalled. And on I think it's the 3rd page there. I just had a list of some of them that I talked to, which are very big institutional financial people. Last one there on the list is Seabrave Global in 2023. So for 5 years I searched and I got stopped each time. Basically, the reason I've already been financed, you can't finance the same project twice on the same money. And then Wisconsin Attorney General approves and signs the documents for these projects. That means with all due diligence, every environmental study, all the engineering is done. And when the Attorney General signs that documents for it, it is fully equipped and ready to move in 60 to 90 days. Wisconsin legislative contacts, just telling you who they are. Watch this, read this here. R&M Hydro Farms LLC company plan projects listed 91 full-time jobs. Zero funding for the Muscadet, Wisconsin project inhibits the business related to economic development in all southwestern Wisconsin. And so with the 91 jobs, we actually planned on quite a number of new people probably coming there from here. So it involved all of southwestern Wisconsin. The legislative contacts, if I want to talk to anybody, our representatives for here are Senator Howard Markline and Representative Travis Town. I have contacted the various board chairmen of all the counties in the state of Wisconsin. Talked to members of the Regional Planning Commission. And anyway, so full contacts on the back of the page there. My son and I, Michael and Donald Bingham.
Time.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute.
Mr. Bingham. Next on the list is Janet Johnson from Johns Hill Drive. We'll be talking on agenda item number 9, which is the 765 transmission line.
Yes. Okay, so while my address is on Johns Hill Drive, where I sleep at night, during the day I'm at my farm at Dayton Ridge. Okay, I'm on the east side of Dayton Ridge, Dayton Township. I am a potentially affected landowner. Last winter, I did send a letter to the developer. I got a delayed email response back that was pretty much just fluff. It didn't tell us anything. There was no documentation they asked for, no maps, no timeline. They said they were too early in the project to really give me any concrete information. So as we all know, July 8th, the developer showed up here. The clock is now ticking. It's in a public information phase, even though the public has not been notified. I have not received any more notification from Transource or Becky, or whoever you want to call. I've been here since 1983. I worked at our U.S. Postal Service right here in Richland Center for 31 years. I think I can call this home. I do not want to see our land devalued. I do not want to see our local economy with tourism being devalued. I am concerned about our health. Those of us living near it, by the way, it will take out my barn that I have been working in for the last 20 years. I raise and breed Connemara pony. I sell them all over the United States and Canada. I'm in this barn almost all of my waking hours. And my barn is too close to these highlines with their new easements. So I would ask the county board, please consider the resolution that will be at hand tonight, and prove it. We are asking Transource, Becky, for more information. We've given them more timelines. We need to be more prepared, because if they cannot come up, if they can't meet our timelines, how are they gonna meet with each individual landowner and work out these sitting situations? Because right down the hill from me is a house that is very close to the lines, and they will be too close to live in that house. So, and then the next house over, we've got a lot of people that are going to be displaced if these lines go through, and they do not come through and work with us. They need to do that. I ask that you support your community and your landowners on all levels. Thank you.
Rebecca Farrell from Church Street, Richland Center. Rebecca?
Hi, I'm here. My name is Rebecca Farrell. I'm Gail Sarp's daughter. I've been a resident of Richland Center for the last 30-some years, but I've been in Richland County most of my life. I'm in opposition to the 765 line. Couple things. We have had a record 40 years for tourism. People don't come to this county to stare at 200-foot line transmissions that hum and arc flash. They come here because we have wineries, we have ridges, we have natural beauty, and that natural beauty allows the wildlife to come through. It allows for trout fishermen to come in. It allows for birders, campers, kayakers. That's what's here, and we have set a 4-year record for that. The driftless area alone contributed $980 million to the Wisconsin revenue for tourism. 44 million in this county last year. That's amazing. Who could think about all that? And those numbers are from the tourism posted numbers. So I need you to think about what that would look like. You're not only going to take her barn, you're going to take the ridgeways. People are going to come in, your dairy farmers, your people are going to be displaced. We already can't have enough houses for people. So consider that not only will it look like crap, but it produces audible noise, and in the summer, it lets off more and more corona flashes. So if you're going to live next to it, it's going to flash you all day long and all night long in the hot summer weather. Just what you really want to do when you're sleeping. So I'm asking the board to consider the fact this is not necessarily something we want for this county. I want everyone to continue to hold the developers accountable for answers. They owe us answers. and
Well,
responses.
okay. Do you want to hear it?
And I think also we should continue to hold them accountable. I also think the county should consider an impact assessment on the tourism and the property values, because it is proven that property values drop dramatically when these things go in. So I hope you appreciate what I have to say. And as our elected officials, we go.
So next on our list for public comment is Jessica Lasky from Town of Aiken.
Hello. So Jessica Lasky, I'm from Aiken Township. I'm the township clerk there, and I'm also obviously a resident of Aiken Township. First, thank you all for serving as members of the county board. I know sometimes things can be overwhelming and sometimes topics get to be larger than you can ever imagine and involve more work and fight than you anticipated. I'd like you to imagine your favorite place in Richland County, what you might do to protect it. Mine is atop a large ridge by the 5 Point Church just outside of Boaz, where my husband and I operate a 120-acre beef farm, raising 70 head of cattle and 3 children ages 9 to 13. The 765 kV transmission lines are anticipated to run along and or through my property. Consider your favorite place, and if it would still be your favorite, with towering lines, constant buzzing, and all of the potential hazardous transmission side effects affecting you, your family, and your animals. I ask that we as a county fight the 765 kV lines and put forth and adopt a resolution to oppose these lines. Opposition to these lines has worked in other counties. Aiken Township is planning to create an ordinance denouncing the 765 kV lines and putting a moratorium on data centers. We also are considering a township vote in our November election, asking our electors if they support or oppose these lines. If you want validation, this is what your constituents want. Put it to a vote for the entire county in November. Create a referenda question asking if electors want these lines to infiltrate our beautiful county. Perhaps that will help advise you how much fight you need to put into this proposal or what requirements we have to the developers to not overtake our county and potential hazardous side effects for the grasshoppers to the cows and the humans in between. Thank you.
Jessica, just a reminder, it's 3 minutes. All of you have been complying with the 3-minute public comment window, and it has been germane to what we have on our agenda item. So next up on our public comment list is Sarah Hunt from the town of Dayton.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hunt. I live in Dayton Township on farmland that will be potentially impacted by these 765 kilovolt lines. I'm asking that the board approve a resolution to support landowners' requests for information from this developer. I think that this is incredibly important because right now we are setting the tone for how these people can communicate with us. And right now, I don't think we're off to a great start at all. As other people have mentioned, we haven't received the information that we have requested very clearly and that we all have records of. And also, I don't think it's very respectful. We don't want to be a doormat to these people. That's not the right way to go about this. Anyway, having these detailed maps is also very important for the landowners and the community because we can speculate on what route they may or may not take, but we have no idea. We don't know if it's going to go through the mobile home area or not. In Georgia, the Georgia Power Company is completely taking 20 to 30 homes and accompanying farmland and property along a 35-mile stretch for a 500 kilovolt line. And in Kentucky, in a rural area, and in Archibald, Pennsylvania, 2 different mobile home parks are being completely evicted so they can make way for data centers. This is why we need this information. It's very important. There's too many hazards. Also, people have spoken about tourism. Last year, Richland County brought in $25 million in revenue, and it provided 319 jobs for our county. When I looked on the National Institute of Health website, NIH showed that unfortunately, I know we're probably aware of this, we are in the top 5 for the counties with the number of people that live below the poverty level. I don't think we can afford to lose any revenue, nor do I think we can afford to lose any jobs. Number one, we get these all the time, all the time. People wanting to buy our land all the time. But you don't see on here power lines, data centers, wind turbines, gas plants. Nope, you don't see those. I get these tourism brochures of places I want to go. Again, you don't see power lines. No one wants to look at that. They're ugly. Also, it fragments habitat, which affects the breeding of animals. Who here wants to see us have fewer deer so that we don't have hunters coming here to spend money and increase our revenue from tourism? Also, trout. They don't like to cross the stream if these power lines are over it. So there we go. No one's going to come here to fish that. There goes more of our tourism dollars. This is sounding like a really great plan, right? Anyway, we need, also statewide, this is really important. The money that we receive from these tourism dollars offsets $692 in taxes per household. So many people are struggling right now. I don't think any household can afford another $700 in taxes. So I would also like to just please ask that we support this resolution to ask these developers to give us the information that we're requesting. We cannot. Thank you.
Sarah, Mary Webb.
I don't have a lot to say, except that I am a landowner. I understand the developers of this line have not responded to the landowners. And I urge this county board to support our landowners. Also, I want to say we didn't ask for this line and we don't need it. That's it.
Thank you, Mary. Laura Hood, Town of Dayton.
My name's Laura Hoop. I live town of Dayton, but my husband and I own Richland County here. We got notified because it's supposed to go proposed paving right over the existing. So louder. Oh, my teacher voice. The line is proposed, as much as we know, to go right over the Richland Locker. So when you take out, the breadth of stuff, what does that say for our building? What does that say for our business? Because I'm going to tell you, we did the expansion of the building. It's not likely that we rebuild, when you talk about the millions and millions of dollars that it takes to do that. But it's set to go, because they said to follow the lines. Literally right over our building. So, they haven't addressed any of this because the developers haven't talked to anybody, which I think is just insulting. The disrespect for our county and community and residents. And then when you get looking at this, the harm that this does to our environment, the people, the animals, there is no positive. They might say, oh, it's going to create some jobs. Dig a little deeper. It doesn't create that many jobs, and those jobs are all temporary. We have people come in to the locker, they're here on vacation, and they're like, this area is beautiful. We would like to move here. Guess what? They're trying to get away from those things, those 765 lights. They're trying to get away from that. And I've had this summer, multiple people say it. And I'm like, this is great. Come. And you know what? They don't want to come moving down to this. So I did have something else right now. So I would ask that the board put forth and adopt a resolution to oppose the 765 transmission lines. None of this is going about right. Something sketchy is going on. Another developer takes 3 years and they want to push it through in 7 months. Every red flag I have is going on. Something is not right. This developer is not one we want to be in cahoots with. Thank you.
Tom Shannon, Dayton Ridge. Tony? Yeah, Tony. Sorry.
My name is Jody Shannon Sharp. I'm a 65-year-old resident of Dayton Township. I'm asking that the Richland County Board pass a formal resolution of opposition to this mega transmission line proposal. It seems unclear what the benefit of these lines is to our community, and so there is none, or if there is none, or at best a minimal benefit, I question what the advantage is to our community in allowing them to be placed here. Noting that the corridor is not designed to deliver power to our area. It is my understanding that some of the developers are private for-profit companies that would earn a regulated return on this build, while the ratepayers of Wisconsin are left to cover the cost. The public information phase of 7 months is an absolute ludicrous timeframe, as it appears that many of our community members aren't even aware that this line is even being considered. The issues in need of evaluation prior to the consideration of this line's placement are too numerous to mention, but some of the more obvious ones include the ruining of a very unique geographical area, the detrimental effects to our wildlife, farm and domestic animals, and health issues to our human population, issues regarding property rights and eminent domain, concerns that the transmission lines will be used to power data centers, which raises its own set of issues and concerns. The last I heard, we aren't making any more land, so let's preserve that which we have left. I'm asking that all county board supervisors do your due diligence, research and consider how the installation of this line will impact us and our future generation. Thank you.
You, Tony. Sarah Briam?
A short comment. I'm Sarah Brame. I live in Marshall Township, landowner, and I echo pretty much everything that's already been said, so I won't repeat that. I'm deeply concerned about all of those impacts. I asked the board also to put pressure on lawmakers and transmission and the developers to find out what happened to the earlier route that followed existing higher power lines north of the driftless. It didn't even go through the driftless originally. And those earlier routes were just dropped with no explanation. There are maps that show in the MISO documents what those early maps were. So again, something funny going on. If all of a sudden, oh, let's move it to the driftless. Why? There's a really good place for it already. So please do what you can to push for seeing that that's explored. And one last thing, setting the tone. This is all just going to keep moving eastward. So everything that you do here is going to help people farther along the way in other counties that are impacted by this be inspired to resist and do what they can. So thank you.
Mr. Crofton, Tom, former supervisor of Richland County Board.
Thank you. Just want to say that everything everyone's saying is absolutely right on. It's a line we don't need. It's a line we have to pay for. It's a line that can hurt us. So why is it being done to us? Because come like colonies of this other power, this global power, whatever, it's doing all this stuff with money power. But there's leadership things here. This group can be a leader. We can push back. We can also do things to change what we're doing here. There's farmers can't sell their soybeans right now because of all this stuff happening on the national level, and yet can't afford the fuel either. We can make fuel out of those soybeans. There's people making ethanol out of corn. I would like the leadership of the county to have its own vehicles work on local fuel. You think about local electricity. We have the ability to make our own electricity out of biomass. We could actually turn the revenue, the operating cost of mowing along a road into revenue. That's a fuel when you mow the grass and all the basic weeds. It's a fuel for biomass generation. There's all kinds of leadership things we can do. That's what we need the board to do, be a leader here. Thank you.
Connie Champenoise?
Hello, I'm Connie Champenoise from Aiken Township, and I want to thank you for holding this public hearing on the TransSource request to build 765 volt power line through Richland County. I asked that the Richland County Board request TransSource to provide more than one route option for this line. Other options such as following the interstate highway, the existing railroad tracks, burying the line, or upgrading the current lines to carry more capacity should be considered. The current proposed route will have a detrimental effect on agriculture, hunting, fishing, tourism, and commerce.
Rita Greenhead.
I'm from Orion Township, and I agree with everything everybody's saying. Have any comment?
Deborah Ruskamp.
For Russ Camp, I live in the Rockbridge area. I've been watching the 765 transmission line things going on with particular interest and thinking that it might come down down our valley because we already have a line. The most recent improvements to the power line come across our ridge. And it is on the map with big red circles of places where it could be. They're proposing on just that one little section, maybe a mile long, 4 towers. What they don't know about our valley and most of Richland County that we need to take consideration, and I hope you do your due diligence on thinking about this and protecting us, is that almost every Pine River, Kickapoo River, every stream in our county is fed by a spring. That's groundwater. Groundwater gets its moisture. When the snow melts, it comes down through the rocks. When we have rain, it comes down through the rocks. If and when, and I'm saying if because I don't think we have to approve it, they put these towers in. It's going to be another 75 feet either way. Hard panning. How they control the weeds is a spray killer, vegetation killer on those ridge tops or wherever those towers are. And the towers themselves are zinced. They're what do you call them? Anyways, they are treated with zinc so that they won't rot. Zinc is a toxin. It does naturally happen in nature, but when it's on something like a rust-resistant surface, the winds and the rains and the snow can leach away that zinc and drop it down to the ground. If we have like a drought season like we've been having, that just with the little small rains that we get in the snow, it just accumulates on the surface. Ground dries out. We have a deluge like we just did. Replenish the rivers next spring. Thank you, Jesus. It's all full. It's running strong right now. But everything that was on the ground, the ridge tops and farms and everything else, every chemical that sat on there for those years during the droughts was flushed in to the aquifer. Aquifer that feeds the streams, the rivers.
Time. Deborah for speaking. Rachel Parker.
Rachel Parker, and along with my husband, Mark, and our children, we operate Parker Hill Century Farm in Forest Township, northwest of Richland County. They're home doing the chores. I'm the rep tonight. Milking cows and doing even chores. This year marks 156 years our family has called our farm a home and a livelihood. My husband and I have been there for 35 years. We consider ourselves caretakers of its 600 acres of crops, pasture, and forest, and over 200 head of dairy, beef, hogs, and fine wool sheep. Although we are not in the current proposed line of destruction, but many farms and families like ours are. We are here to advocate for our neighbors and our community, and to speak for those who are not aware of this. There are too many people that are not aware of this. We believe the last thing our county needs is the mega rich building a near football field size swath along miles and miles of the backbone of our community. They're effectively moving our wealth, our land, our most primary resource, in my opinion, our land, into more wealth for themselves. We'll never profit off this. We'll pay and pay and pay, and I don't think we'll ever profit based on the numbers I see. Yeah. What is next? They have a long-term strategic mission. We need a long-term strategy for our county to protect it. We may be one of the poorest counties in the state, and perhaps they think we are an easy target. But we aren't called poor land. We are not called poor land. We are rich land, right? And being rich land, we should fight for. County Board, we ask that you join us in demanding the following from the linebackers. Demand good reason. Is it good for the county and our community and our neighbors? The power will not be used here, but it will cost us here. But yet they'll get a profit. Demand due diligence to clearly identify short and long-term risks to our unique landscape, our natural resources, our property values. How is this going to change all that? You spoke up about the locker. We take our hogs and our beef there, quite a few. We hate to see a business go away. There will be a domino effect, like this example that we share. Identify how it affects human health, livestock. That's a given. We need due time. Please demand due time. Time for local government, landowners, and public input. Thank you for this time this evening. There is no better time for our county board and us as a community to gather over something that is so potentially damaging to us all. We ask that you escalate the communication with every county department, every time. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for your comments. Rose Burkholz.
Property and Ledgewood. And I just wanted to let record that the board opposes this line, but this is a delay in how fast they're trying to fit through. Wisconsin's basically a conduit. It's not going to benefit from this. It's just a conduit to move money through our state. The developer has not provided any concrete information showing that the transmission line is needed and why they would have to go overhead instead of underground, and why they have to go through the dripless area instead of other areas that they could go through also. They have these big 180-foot towers. I don't know what they're made of, but what happens if lightning strike one of these towers or these lights? What happens here? Is there any safety net here? What's the physical footprint of the towers? I have one of these tower right now in my backyard, 30 feet from my house. What happens with, is that going to be replaced by this Goliath? I don't know. They failed to address the public effects on humans. They failed to address the environmental issues that affects animals, wildlife, rivers. And if you look at the map between the old water treatment plant and the Seats company down here, those lines are supposed to cross the Pine River 3 times, Highway 14 2 times, Highway 80 3 times. That's a very short area. They failed to say if these will interfere with any wireless infrastructure like cell phones, televisions, GPS, radios, antenna. It will go directly to the Caney Trailer Park. Take out that whole area of the Caney Trailer Park, continue on down by the bike path, and take out at least 7 houses in Richland. That's some tax base that's going to go away. We have not been contacted by anybody about this line. My house will be in a hazardous zone. What are they going to do? Are they going to buy us out? Are they going to give us a premium to relocate? What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to this community? They're taking a lot of tax base out of here. They're putting a line nobody wants. It's not going to benefit us. It's a hazard to everybody and everything. And I want the board to go on record to really oppose the line, not just delay it, but just plain oppose it, not let it go through. There's no benefit to Richland County for this line to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Erica Walter.
I'd like to thank my members and my board members for being here to listen to us speak in regards to my feelings of the opposition to the 765 line. My husband, who will be speaking soon, has been blessed to own his family's land, and I was lucky enough to join. Our children are the 7th generation on our land. We are proud of our land. We work hard. We started a business to bring more revenue to our community. We love Richland County. People can call it the poorest county. Look around. We are rich. We are highly educated and highly motivated.
I'm here to ask the board to oppose straight out the 765 line. It does not benefit one member in Wisconsin. If it were to benefit us, we could consider it. But why would we do something that would strip our land, our children's land, my grandchildren's land, who are the 8th generation on our land? Why? Why would we even consider it? I really want you to know we've never been contacted. We are very active in our community. We follow everything. It's important to us. So I'm begging you to consider what it would be like to have that structure over your house, which will happen on our 8th generation farm for a business that does not benefit one Wisconsinite. Board, I thank you. This is difficult. It's hot in here. I appreciate your attention to detail. And I just hope that we can reach out to all of our counties and stand together strong. We are here for you. Tell us what you need from us, and we will help you. Thank you.
Scott Walter.
Appreciate the time. I've given a lot of talks in my life, but I've never had to follow my wife to the podium. Extra pressure, but as Erica said, this is a incredibly meaningful and impactful issue for us. My ancestors settled on our farm in Sylvan Township just about 160 years ago now. And we've been there ever since. It's been where I've spent my life. And recently we learned that a daughter who went off into the great wide world to attend college and had options available somewhere else decided to move back home with her new husband and grow our on-farm maple syrup business. And we'd like to see that continue on. When I asked her why, because the world was her oyster, she said, the farm is where I want to be, and that's where I want to raise my kids. So, and this threatens that. As Erica mentioned, my grandmother years ago signed an easement to our land for the current 131 kilovolt line. We've learned to live with that. This is a different animal. This would essentially go right across the edge of our lawn. And immediately our house becomes uninhabitable, and Connie and Eli's dreams of staying on the farm and growing this business themselves become untenable. So obviously there's a deep personal stake that we have in this issue. But as you evaluate your options, the one report you need to read is Dr. David Patton's independent assessment of the project. TransSource, MISO, they had by federal law, they had to hire an independent evaluator. Why? Because they have a fiduciary stake, a monetary stake in the outcome. They can't be trusted. They are motivated by money. Dr. David Patton's independent report listed numerous reasons why this project did not make sense, provided multiple alternative routes, and basically said this should be done on arrival. Yet it's being pushed down our throats. We've not been contacted. 7 months for a public review and input process is insulting. So as Erica mentioned, we strongly encourage the board to speak with a strong voice for your constituents in opposition to this project. Thank you much.
Leo Jewett.
Leo Jewett, I have a 95-acre farm in Rockbridge, and I'm going to speak for myself as well as some for my neighbor, Carol, here. She's right next to me, and the current power line does run direct through our property.
Can you speak up, please?
Okay, it runs directly through our property and dissects it. I have been involved with this since Janet sent us a note, and I thank you for that, for getting us involved. But there have been no data provided on why this should come through It adds no value. Many people have said that it adds no value, but it does devalue the place. The one thing that I have not heard anybody mention is a year and a half ago, when Dairyland Electric came through to clear the power lines, they have an 80-foot easement. And on my place, they cut 146 feet wide. On Carol's, they cut 200 feet wide, clear cut. Said they were just taking out brush. They have 36-inch diameter maples that they cut. That could never touch a power. So they have already shown their irresponsibleness to the landowners here. So we have to fight that. And I too would ask the board not to study, directly oppose this and shut it off.
Thank you, Leo. This time I do have two other public comments that are related to two separate other agenda items. I just want to give maybe two more options. Somebody in the room right now wants to speak about this 765 kilovolt line. Sure. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Anthony Ring, Richland Township. We are not directly impacted, but if our neighbors are impacted, we're impacted. So we're standing up for this. Also, like has been said before, there's no benefit to Richland County. This is all private equity, which is, if you've been watching the news, is imploding. We could end up with a white elephant where they basically gut everything. They go, oh, bygones, declare bankruptcy, and we're just scarred for nothing. So please oppose this. We gotta stop this, because if they can't with this, they're coming for something else. And then it will be my farm. That's it back. Thank you.
My name is Jay Patton. I retired from General Motors as chief engineer at Materials. I have created hundreds of thousands of jobs in my career. I spent 8 years looking for an ideal community to move to. I found it here. I love the people here. You're hardworking. It's the hardest job in the world to be a farmer. What you have to go through, you don't need incompetent people in Madison that should stop this when they have their chance, not get the job done. Why should these people suffer because of them failing? I feel that I'm much better determining who are good people to work with, live with. That's why I moved here. And I expect that you will do the right thing and stop this. This is a travesty. This is a piece of heaven. Don't let them ruin that. Thank you.
Is there one other person here that wanted to speak?
One more person that would like to speak.
I'm Dan DeQueen. I live in Henrietta, a little hobby farm. But nobody's bringing up the fact that I think they're planning on drilling down like 75 feet, which would, our water table would suffer. Who knows where that might be or lead, you know, it could drain all our water away. We just don't, there's so many things that we don't know about it. So, yeah, I'm in total opposition of this, so that's all I hate.
Janet Matz. I've only lived here a couple of years, but I just want to remind everybody on the board that the driftless area is a very, very special, unique area. We take it for granted. People that lived here take it for granted because they've been here forever. We need to protect this. And if there's a way to everybody says not in my backyard, but if there is a way to take these lines and get them around the driftless, we need to protect this area from data centers, from these lines. We need to protect this environment. It is a very unique situation which we live in, and we really need to make sure that we protect that. We are the protectors of the land. So that's all I have to say.
So we're moving on to further public comment that we have. This one here is from Forrest Yankee. Regarding to agenda item number 8C, which is well testing. Forrest?
Yeah, so Forrest Yankee, I am
Crawford County, so, as far as the lines thing, I can say I'm on the commission in Clayton Township, and we just passed a resolution requesting information and transparency from the, companies, Transource, and in Crawford County, they passed a resolution opposing these lines. So I'll keep the rest speaking to your constituents, and I'm mostly here for the water presentation that Kayla's going to give. I worked with Kathy, couldn't be here today, so if you have any questions about the coordination and managing that, for this property, I can answer questions. I have some maps, and yeah, be interested in your questions about the well testing. The information Kayla's about to give on groundwater is also very informative for the discussion we're having currently.
Before us, we do have another public comment from Ursula Bauer regarding agenda item 10, which is the resolution creating a committee to assist in the formation of an EMS district.
Yeah.
Ursula?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ursula. I am the clerk all the way up in the far corner of Westford. I do have to tell you, the first time I heard of this lines that you were talking about was just last night at a meeting. I've never even heard that there were lines coming through to our county. But I'm here just to speak about the committee. I do hope that there is a district formed, so people can decide how to set up their area for any type of emergency services. We in Westford, we have our own service. We've never had Richland County's services in our area. We've never needed it. Our taxes do come into Richland. They do get distributed amongst the budgets and get used up for everything here. But we in turn also pay $30,000 just to have our own fire EMS services. So all I want to say is I do hope that some district forms right away, so our township does not have to pay when we already paid 30,000 plus. And that comes right out of our budget. And that's about it. Thank you.
I'm going to offer to the floor for a couple more comments for anybody who did not submit. Maybe they didn't have time. Late. Is there anybody online? I think there was a Carrie. Right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Carrie.
My name is Carrie Hotman. I live in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and I am asking the board to pass the resolution for the 765 lines. My husband has had this land in the town of Dayton since 1989, and our son has grown up hunting with him from a young age, and they've made wonderful memories and traditions there. This piece of property has always been a special place, and finally 3 years ago, my husband's dream of building finally came true. There's always been the Dairyland power lines running through the land, but now the house is within the easement of what the 765s need. Not only are we concerned about how close they are to the house, but what these lines will do to this precious driftless area that we all love and appreciate. Like I said, I live in Sun Prairie, which is in Dane County. Richland County is our sanctuary to get away from there, with all of its huge power poles and wind turbines taking over this beautiful farmland. I would hate to see what these massive lines could do to this driftless area, because once it's gone, it's gone. As stewards of this property, we do everything to keep the woods healthy for future generations by doing timber stand improvements, invasive control, proper timber harvest, and keeping the wildlife happy. We have a trout stream, a spring-fed pond, and so many variety of birds that we don't have in Dane County. And to me, there's nothing more enjoyable than hearing a whippoorwill at night or spying a rare bird. So what are these lines going to do to this wildlife? Richland County area is well known in the state and all over for some of the best hunting, which brings in tourism. Those people need places to stay, and you have a lot of beautiful B&Bs and in that area. Who's going to want to hunt if these massive lines are chasing the wildlife away? The one other thing is when we were going through the building process, our biggest challenge was the DNR and all of the environmental impact studies we had to go through just to get a permit. So when I hear that they waived the EIS study for the Port Washington data center, that scares me. Because if they waive that on the beautiful driftless area, what is that going to do in the damage of our wells and the karst, and everything else that can happen? Also, what are the lines going to do to the property value of Richland County? So as a community and as a board, we need to protect this beautiful, precious driftless area. And I'm asking the board to please consider passing the resolution. Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our next agenda item, which is, Mr. Counselor, do you think that I could take agenda item number 9 right now, the update on the 765 transmit line out of order?
We would need to vote on that at this point because we've already approved the agenda. You have the ability, the chair has the ability to approve the order of the agenda at any time before it's originally approved. So you have to take a motion to it. I don't disagree with doing it now, but yes.
We'll move to adjust to change, go to item number 9 on the agenda.
Second.
So we got a motion by Supervisor Frank to move to correct or amend our agenda to have agenda item number 9 be next on our agenda list, and seconded by Supervisor Engel. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, if everybody's in favor, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. So I'm gonna take up agenda item number 9 now. Be next on our list was update on the 765 kilovolt transmission line. So at this point in time, the county has not received any official notification at all that this was happening. However, the company that is installing these lines or projected to install them have reached out to the county administrator, highway commissioner, and invited those two, along with the county board chair and another supervisor, to attend a meeting to discuss what that possibility would be like. So I was unable to attend that meeting because I do work like everybody else does, and it was on a short notice. So I asked my vice chair, Larry Engel, to step in on my behalf to represent Richland County. Larry, would you be able to speak on that meeting?
There were 4 representatives from the company, their corporate counsel, 2 project managers, and their marketing director. And essentially what they said was that this line is the backbone of the regional, electric hub. They then. Speak up. Oh, okay. And they said that it was the power line was the backbone of the power grid. That's the reason they were putting this in. They also lined out the timeline, which was a 7-month timeline. There would be they showed us a map that will become available in a few minutes of the targeted region of the area. They did not say that they had a specific plan yet in terms of where that line would go. They just showed us the geographical space in which it would go. And they said there'll be a notification of landowners in July and August, with a hearing in August, or an open meeting in August. That feedback then would be refined in following months with another open forum in November. They then said that they would have the proposal ready to submit by February. Anticipated a year-long review of that, and they guesstimated that they would have begin the project in 28 or 29 with the turn on of the power in 2033.
2033. So also who was present at that meeting was Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Carroll, could you further?
Yeah. Do the timeline. Board passed a resolution asking for information in our March board meeting. We heard nothing. Out of the blue, got an email from one Tess Heller from HDR Incorporated, consultant engineering, June 17th. That's just this past June. And so no explanation on why we hadn't heard from TransSource. This person from HDR contacted us. So instead of TransSource, it now appears that Mid-Continent Grid Solutions is the company that's been, by the way, it's only been in existence for a year. It's an LLC that was just created. They're the ones that. Now granted, it's actually comprised of some large companies that know about transmission lines. As an entity here in Wisconsin, it's only a year old. Anyway, they sent this email to our highway commissioner and our natural resources department. How they chose those, who knows? But anyway, we quickly, like he said, we quickly got together and set up a meeting date. So on July 9th, we met with those 4 people and we had the resolution we'd sent, we handed it out so we could start discussing it. The 2 people from Mid-Continent Grid Solutions had not seen it. So to me, that tells me they're not top flight. Okay, they're scrambling or they're not being very professional. It's just my opinion. Anyway, this was all verbal. So immediately the next day, I sent email to them saying, please confirm what you said in the meeting. And they, like he said, they said, well, we'll send out mailings first week of August. We'll have this open, all this stuff. And then we hope to submit in February. I sent an email to them saying, please confirm in writing what you said in the meeting. I've heard nothing yet. So where we stand now is this new need to do another resolution that we're all talking about. But this is not the kind of thing that we can figure out tonight. We're going to need to get the Natural Resources Committee. Probably our first week in August, we'll get that committee to start wrestling with it, with help from Rob Danielson and his volunteers, some of the information they've shared. And then it'll go to executive finance and take me for gospel just yet, but hopefully in our August board meeting, we'll have something we'll look at and vote on. So that's where things are right now.
Sorry, Katie.
What if we pass a resolution opposing this line? That's probably not gonna stop it.
I don't know that, and that's why I wanted to refer all discussions that we're doing right now to the Natural Resources Committee. Chair Randy Schoonover is look forward to wanting to hear that. So I would encourage all of our residents to follow that Natural Resources Committee. That's where it needs to be discussed further. However, in this room tonight, I want to let you know that your voices are being heard. We do have Assemblyman Tony Kurtz that is here, and then Derek Van Orden's office has Representative Molly Bain that's also here sitting in the corner, and they all have heard your comments here tonight. There is a comment time for them, legislative update to talk. I don't know if they're going to talk about the lines, but just know that they're sitting in this room right now and they heard your comments. So right now, this is going to go on to our Natural Resources Committee to further explore this effort. So go ahead.
Can I just ask what are they asking the county to do?
I don't know. You know,
There was an information opening.
yeah, I don't know what the county is able to do. There's been no communication. I think at the state level, I think that is where information and talks are, and I think that's where we best would know what their intentions are, but that has not been relayed from the state level on down to counties in impacted landowners. So,
I'm reporting to all of us and to you that they don't know the route, or they gonna notify landowner.
right,
During the meeting, they said that they have a lot of people they put on the payroll that are actually looking at routes. So there's people somewhere trying to figure out the optimal routes, figuring out the parcels they cross. And in theory, they're gonna get mailings out to those people. We'll see.
Supervisor Perry?
In my 40 years doing electric utility stuff, I've never seen a project so shabbily presented. And I think that even though we don't have a resolution ready to pass, and maybe it won't do any good, but I think it's extremely important that we do it.
Yes.
If the board is against it, and I wasn't against it, until I heard this testimony tonight, and I don't see how I can be in favor of it the way it's being presented. Or not being presented.
Okay. Any other supervisors on this agenda item number 9, 765 kilovolt line? All right. So just know that this is going to go on to our Natural Resources Committee. Chair Schoonover is going to chair that. Be watching for that and updates online and when we have postings to learn more information. And then if we do get any more information from the state legislature, I would welcome the public to know. And so I would share that back with you also and the board. So I'm going to move on to agenda item number 8. We're on reports. I'm going to start with agenda item number 8A, County Administrator update. People, please feel free to leave and come and go as you want to. It's up to you. So.
I was thinking that myself.
I do thank you all for coming. So, and continue to be involved with your community. So.
Wasn't bad. And values go down.
Supervisors, do you feel that you need to have a break right now to leave? I see one person that does, but
Only if you can have a beer with
not have that right now. You choose to, you can, there's no rules against that, but. All right, I only see one person that wanted to have a break. Let's continue on with some reports. So our county administrator.
So I do have a written report in the packet. One thing that I do want to remind all county supervisors of is the WCA conferences in September. If you are interested in attending, please let me know and we can get you signed up. Early registration is closing at the end of this month. So rates do go up come August 1st. New board supervisors are able to go for free. So if you are interested, we can get you signed up for free. Please just let me know. It's a great conference. Yes, in Wisconsin.
That's Colorado. Right?
Yes.
Any questions for our administrator real quick from county board supervisors? All right, moving on to agenda item number 8B is our legislative update. We do have Representative Tony Kurtz as president in this room, and then also Molly Bain from Representative Derek Van Orden's office. So Tony, I'm going to give the floor to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank all the supervisors. A lot of credit. So, I did come tonight. Obviously, the power line is near and dear to everybody's heart, and it should be. I finally had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago with transport, and I basically relayed everything what the folks in here said, that communication is basic, quote, excuse my language, they've done a piss poor job of communicating with me. I said, right now, they mistrust you. They don't believe anything you're going to say. They think this is all going to be tied to data centers. I hope they got the message. They need to get out and talk to folks and talk about maybe alternative routes and things like that. This is not done. I would suggest that you keep fighting. So I'm very happy that so many people showed up. And also, I'm here also to listen about the EMS. Senator Mark Lyon and I over the last several years have done a lot for EMS. I know that's a huge issue. So hopefully one of the tools we'll use is that that new district regional model that we did in the Governor Eager side a couple months ago. That's all I have to say. And once again, thank you for what you guys.
Thank you, Representative Kurt. Molly?
Like you said, my name is Molly Dawn. I'm a field representative for Congressman Derek Van Orden. Thank you, board, for letting me come and speak. I was taking lots of notes, and we'll bring all the comments that were spoken about the lines back to Congressman Van Orden as well as our legislative team. Just to share a few things, this last Friday we did host a virtual listening session on data centers. We did try to share that with the county board, so hopefully you guys did see that. We are working on getting that listening session, the video accessible to you guys as well afterwards. With that, he did recently co-sponsor HR 9340, which is Ratepayer Protection Act, that would require states to consider adopting a federal standard directing data centers to pay the full cost of new generation and transmission upgrades needed to serve them. This was a bipartisan bill that did just pass out of the committee today. I don't know when it would be scheduled to be on the House floor. Last week, he also introduced 2 bills to strengthen VA security and support retired federal working dogs. And then just this afternoon, CMS, or the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, announced the approval of Congressman Van Orden's request to grandfather the state's 6% hospital provider tax, preserving enhanced federal Medicaid funding for Wisconsin hospitals. Without this action, Wisconsin enhanced federal Medicaid payments would have expired on October 1st of this year. This change, the Wisconsin reimbursement rate is going to jump from 1.8% to 6%. So if you want to keep up to date on our office, I encourage you to go to our website, vanorden.house.gov, and you can sign up for our newsletter and see our press releases on our website as well. And in general, if you have anyone having an issue with a federal agency, please reach out to our office, Social Security, VA, anything like that. Our office may be able to assist. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Agenda item 8C is well testing results. Kathy's not here.
Hi, yeah, I'm virtual. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I see that you can see the slides on the screen. So my name is Kayla. I'm with the UW Stevens Point Center for Watershed Science and Education. And as Forrest mentioned during the public comment period, we worked with Crawford, Richland, and Vernon counties, as well as the Crawford Stewardship Project, to conduct well testing across the 3 counties. So I'm here to give a high-level summary of that today, along with some background as to what groundwater is and why it's important to test private wells. I'll try and move through things quickly since it's been a long night already, and my contact information will be at the end if you have questions to follow up. But we'll start, if you guys are able to scroll down, or I can also share my screen, we'll see. But we'll start with just the importance of testing a private versus a public well. So as many of you likely know, Public water supplies are regularly tested and are required to adhere to water quality standards by law, whereas in contrast, private wells are not required to be regularly tested. In fact, they're only required to be tested when a well is drilled or when a well or pump is worked on. So it's something that doesn't often get looked at if people aren't aware of water quality concerns. And since so many drinking water contaminants, natural or otherwise, are undetectable by taste, sight, or smell, the importance of testing a private well for health as well as managing a home is really important. So a program like this where private well tests are funded for a large amount of people are really a big service to the residents in the 3 counties, in Richland County, of course, as well. So overall, we had 88 people get their well tested in Richland County. Throughout the 3 counties, we're on the third, yeah, perfect. Throughout the 3 counties, we had actually over 350 people get their wells tested, which is why you see so many dots throughout the 3 counties. But in Richland, we had 88 folks get their water tested for 22 common water quality tests, and those tests covered concerns related to health, overall aesthetics like taste, odor, and color, and then just overall water quality indicators. So we had pretty good coverage, as you can see on the map here, besides that green dot in our way, throughout the county. That gave us a good idea of general groundwater quality in Richland County. So if we were to kind of take a moment to zoom out about what is groundwater. I heard it mentioned a few times earlier in the public comments, which is always great. The actual definition of groundwater is water that exists underground and fully saturates the pores and spaces between underground geologic materials. So those geologic materials can actually be solidified bedrock, but they can also be unconsolidated deposits on top of bedrock. And we consider groundwater to be actual groundwater when we have all of those geologic spaces filled with water. So we have some period where there's air and water. And once groundwater fully saturates that material, we call it groundwater. The top of that, what we call the saturated zone, is the water table. So if you hear people talk about water table elevation, that's what they're talking about. It's the top of the groundwater zone. And groundwater does move, but it doesn't move like an underground river or lake like a lot of people picture, since that's what we know. But groundwater actually moves like it's moving through a saturated sponge. So what that means is that when we have geologic materials containing groundwater, we have forces of gravity and pressure that's going to move water through those tiny spaces in that geologic material. And that typically means that groundwater is going to flow from areas of high topography or high elevation on the land to areas of low elevation. And if we can scroll forward a little bit to the next slide, there we go. So here I've got a visual of how groundwater moves differently through different materials. So on the left-hand side, we have a good example of what we call carbonate rock. I heard karst mentioned earlier. That's a feature of a lot of carbonate rock, which is present in Richland County, as well as the driftless in general, like Crawford and Vernon as well. Those materials are going to have cracks and fractures that water can move quite quickly through, which means that there's less time for contaminants to be filtered out as they move into the groundwater resource below. On the right-hand side, we've got an example of what sandstone would be like. So sandstone is also present in Richland County in a large amount, as well as the driftless in general. Water is going to move a little more slowly through sandstone because there are numerous really tiny pores that are interconnected, but since they're so small, it's going to take longer for water to move through that material, which does allow more time for filtration. And if we draw our attention to the figure behind, those two we'll see as some general bit, the arrows moving from high to low. That's meant to represent the general groundwater flow. So if you look at a topographical map of Richland County, groundwater is generally going to follow flow patterns from areas of high to low, which isn't one of the many reasons why there are so many trout streams supported by groundwater. Those are low areas on the landscape. Groundwater contributes to those. So we can move forward to the next slide, the what is an aquifer one. An aquifer is essentially the geologic unit that's holding and transmitting the groundwater that we're using. So aquifer properties, as we just chatted about in the previous slide, determine how quickly groundwater is going to flow, how much water you can get from an aquifer when a well is drilled, and how easily that water can become contaminated. And in some cases as well, groundwater can become contaminated from naturally occurring substances in an aquifer. One that comes to mind for many people is arsenic. It's naturally occurring and can be in groundwater due to certain geologic materials. And then the image here on the upper right side of the slide is just another example of groundwater flow directions. Here we're actually showing some watershed divides where we have a high point on the landscape that directs water flow on either side of it, kind of creating a boundary there. So if we were to look specifically at Richland County, so if you could scroll down a little bit, Richland County has two primary aquifers, so to speak. We actually have a layer of crystalline bedrock covering Wisconsin. It doesn't make a great aquifer, so we're just going to skip right over that and know that on top of the crystalline bedrock is a layer of sandstone and dolomite. So sandstone and dolomite are examples of, well, the sandstone I showed a few slides before, where we've got a lot of pores, really small. Groundwater moves a little bit more slowly through sandstone. Sandstone also holds a lot of water and makes for a really good aquifer. Dolomite is actually a carbonate rock, which can lead to those cracks and fractures and karst-like features in a landscape, and also contributes to hard water due to its mineral content. So most wells in Richland County are going to be drilled into the sandstone and dolomite aquifer, which if we zoomed in, which we'll do a little bit on the next slide, it gets into a little bit more detail of which materials are present. So on the next slide, we've got a lot of blue, which is indicating the Cambrian sandstone. We can just call that sandstone. That water is going to yield a lot, or that aquifer is going to yield a lot of water. It's going to be usually pretty good quality when it comes to natural features. There can be some different mineralogies that can contribute different metals and minerals. But then in the green, we have the dolomite, which is going to be the carbonate rock, so prone to cracks and fractures, right? Higher mineral content when it comes to calcium, magnesium. So we typically see harder water in that geologic material. And then if we were to look on top of our bedrock, we've got our superficial deposits, which will be the next slide. Those essentially determine how quickly water is going to move through a given material. So this is generalized, right? But overall, we've got a lot of loam in Richland County. Water is going to move through that with relative ease, not as fast as it would through, say, sand and gravel, which is in the red. As we get closer to the river there, water is going to move more quickly through that material. But we're just thinking about how much time and space does water have to move through geologic materials before reaching our groundwater resource, which can play into contamination from land use and other sources, right? Now, if we were to look at the actual results, which I've got on the first, or the next slide, not the first slide, we did some general water quality tests as part of our lab's homeowner package, so to speak. And the key takeaways from this is that the water is overall rather alkaline, rather hard, which is normal for a lot of areas in Wisconsin due to geology. So many folks will probably have water softeners, not a concern for health or anything like that, but it is a strong feature of the water or the groundwater in Richland County. And then nitrate, which is an agricultural contaminant primarily, was overall on the lower side. It was above natural, indicating some agricultural impact, but only about 4% of samples were above the health standard of 10 parts per million, which is below the state average, which is usually around 7 to 10% of samples. So again, key takeaways: hard alkaline water that can lead to aesthetic issues, and there are some land use impacts present. So for those people with high nitrate, they may want to consider water treatment like a reverse osmosis system, as it effectively removes nitrate, which is on the next slide. I've just got those key takeaways kind of pulled out. So we can scroll honestly right on past that to the metals testing that was done. So this is the other bulk of tests that were done on these water samples. And overall, things were looking really good when it came to metals testing. So we had pretty high calcium and magnesium, which is consistent with the geology in the region. However, when it comes to naturally occurring things like arsenic, things was quite low. Same with manganese and iron, which can be nuisance metals when it comes to water discoloration and things like that. Manganese also has some health concerns with it, but overall, there weren't major concerns that came up with the metals testing. So we can move into the bacteria results, which is on the next slide. Those were overall quite good as well. So when it came to bacteria, coliform bacteria are naturally occurring, but we don't want them in a well. Only about 5% of wells tested positive for coliform bacteria, and none tested positive for E. coli, which is great. E. coli is contamination from fecal material, so definitely not something we want in a well. So it's good that we didn't see any wells test positive for it. Moving on to the next slide where we have arsenic. This slide just reviews what arsenic is. It's naturally occurring mineral deposits and there is a health standard with it. But as I'll see on the next slide, and moving kind of quickly here, we did not have any samples above the arsenic health standard detected in Richland County, and our average was less than 0.005 milligrams per liter, which is essentially zero as far as our instruments are concerned. We had one sample with detected arsenic, but it was very, very low. So manganese is another contaminant that often is of concern for people when it comes to health and groundwater as well as aesthetic issues. So this just goes over the source and some of those concerns there. The next slide actually goes over the results for manganese on the map. So we had no manganese samples above the 0.3 milligram per liter health standard, which is great, and about 7% were at or above what we call an aesthetic threshold. At that point, those people may start to see staining and particles like black and brown specks in their water from manganese, but none were above the health standard that we tested. Okay, next slide would just be nitrate and the sources. Again, it's primarily from agricultural activity. It's the primary groundwater contaminant in Wisconsin. Naturally occurring in groundwater, it's quite low. So when we see nitrate elevated above 1 or 2, that's how we know there's some land use impact. So the next slide shows the map of results for nitrate in Richland County. And again, we had about 4% at or above that 10 milligrams per liter health standard, which is below the state average. And then the average for nitrate was around 3, a little bit under that. We typically see high nitrate samples in areas with a lot of intense agricultural activity, as well as really well-drained materials. So like sand and gravel, if you remember that red band at the bottom of the county border here along the river, those soils are really well drained. Water's gonna move through more quickly, less time to filter, things like that. And well construction also plays a really big part in nitrate contamination susceptibility. So lastly, or almost lastly, we've got a slide on total hardness here, just going over the source. Again, this is naturally occurring. It's not a health concern, but it can cause scaling and scum buildup, poor soap performance in homes, and most people are going to have a water softener to deal with that. The map here on the next slide just shows the distribution of hard water. So overall, samples are pretty hard. 88% of samples were considered hard water, and our average was 253, which is, I would say, pretty hard, but again, consistent with the geology, but it's just an interesting feature of the county. So I'll end then just with my contact. Thank you all for your time tonight. I know it's been a long night already. It was a great project and a great service to the 3 counties. So I'm happy to take questions now or later. You can call or email me. Happy to chat anytime.
Thank you, Kayla, for your report. Supervisors, do you have any questions for Kayla at this point in time? Kayla, I'm seeing no hands raised for questions. Thank you for giving your report and your contact information. So supervisors, if you do need to reach out to her or want to learn more, you can contact her. Her information is up there. It's posted. Forrest?
Yeah, just wanted to mention that you can also reach out to me or Kathy, is the one who worked with the project, the project coordinator. Got a pretty significant grant to do this, under $50,000 to do it. Penalties. This was a one-time shot, so if we want to keep doing more of this, we'll need to find other funding sources for it. But we got some really good information. I have some of the math books also that go into all the different parameters. Kayla kind of went through really fast for you here. But it was really good to be able to do this broad of testing all those different metals and largely discount things that we don't have to worry about, which is good news. Largely good news on testing, but as you saw, there are some concern areas that we should keep looking into. Appreciate ongoing support for more testing as we go forward. This is obviously something that's really important for people. That came out of our public education events that Kayla actually came all the way down here and spoke with people. So appreciate working with the counties on it, and hopefully we can do some more.
Thank you, Forrest. Any other questions from supervisors on well testing? All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 8D is County Board Chair Report. So since our last meeting, I have met along with our vice chair, I met with the mayor of Richland Center, Mayor Template, and Council President Ryan Cairns. We did have a discussion. It just was an open discussion. There was no particular item that we needed to discuss. Some of that was talked about our campus in the reconfiguration with the demolition projects, some of the buildings going over to the high school, maybe future development of that property, so on. We also discussed a little bit about EMS. Since that is also an issue, we talked about growth and economic development for Richland County. It was pretty good. It lasted about an hour or so for that meeting. I have been meeting with Administrator Clements here and there when she wants to meet and talk about positions. So the executive committee asked that any open positions go through myself and Administrator Clements to discuss if they are needed at this point in time. So we have discussed that. We have postponed a couple, but there are some that we are continuing to fill. The 65 line, the 765 line, that just come up to me, within a day or two prior, not recently, but at that time, a week or two ago, come up. I had Larry go in my place for that meeting, so we did discuss with that. Last night, I did attend a township meeting for the Richland County Towns Association. I had myself, Shirley Welty, and Supervisor Frank involved with that process. And so we listened to the towns. We gave our interpretation of how we would like to see the district operated. We're going to talk about that later on agenda item number 10. So that was there. We heard some concerns from them. There was some opposition to us levying a tax amongst the whole county itself. There were townships that do not receive EMS service, and they were concerned that a lot of their tax dollars are going to go to benefit Richland County EMS and not serve their citizens in their county when they don't receive EMS service. However, there is some of that tax that does go to the tower service that we did. We constructed 9 towers somewhere in there for our radio communications, as far as paging for EMS, paging for fire and sheriff's department. And then some of that tax levy does go to help out our dispatch center. Call it a PSAP, a public safety answering point. Our dispatchers are EMD, emergency medical dispatch certified, so they're able to triage and help people when they call 911. So with that incident till help arrives from whatever EMS agency that there is that's needed. So part of that funding, that tax levy, is going to go towards funding dispatch, not 100%, just a portion. And then our budget process is going to start in August. So be prepared for that to come down, and you and your committees are going to have to be studying and looking at that process. So that's all that I have to report. Larry, do you have anything that you want to add?
Just that the meetings with the mayor and the council president are scheduled monthly. So we'll be looking for some real cooperation. Stuff still going on. It's been ongoing over the years. That communication will be on.
Take a couple questions if supervisors want that. Okay. Move on to agenda item number 10, which is resolution creating a committee to assist in the formation of the EMS district. This was discussed in public safety. Supervisor Frank did a lot of work on this, and so I'm going to refer to him to give his discussion right now on the creation of this ad hoc committee.
Great, thank you very much. So Public Safety Judicial Standing Committee was pointed out to handle this because under the Public Safety Judicial Subcommittee, EMS falls into that group. So we were asked to kind of take the lead on this. After reviewing a plan, coming up with ideas, I did sit down with the administrator just to make sure the ideas flowed with everything else, and this is what we have come up with. So this is the proposed district creation of an ad hoc committee. What I want to make clear is we are not creating a district. The county isn't going to do that. The townships and municipalities are. It's not the county's responsibility to do that. The ad hoc committee will assist in building that out and getting that going. Okay, I want to make that clear as we go through this. So the ad hoc committee structure. We recommend 5 county board supervisors as appointed by the Committee on Committees. Of the 5, there should be no dual roles. What that means is we don't want somebody that's a township supervisor that also might be a county board member on this ad hoc committee. Again, this committee is going to build out, they'll have those opportunities, the township people have those opportunities once they start the next step where they start making their own decisions and having their own committee. This is just the bridge, the liaison group to get that going. County board chair is automatically appointed to the committee, and we would like to see the appointments at this meeting today so we can start meetings in August. Okay, slide 1, let's continue. Steps. What will they do? What will this ad hoc committee do, this group of 5? We'll engage municipalities to explain the why. Okay, engaging them by attending town board meetings or council meetings upon request. We'll gather a list of municipalities who are interested in being part of a district. We will work with municipalities to create a township municipality steering committee. The steering committee is their committee. Okay, we're going to build the ad hoc to gather these people together to get them to a point where they can start a steering committee. The steering committee then is their group. We are the liaisons. We help out with the resources that they might need. We'll touch a minute on that and what some of those resources they might be. Timeline, August of 2026. We would like to hold 2 meetings with all the municipalities, wherever this 5-member committee is. We'd recommend 2 meetings held in August to meet with the townships. In September and October, we would attend the village, city, and county meetings upon request. So if some members couldn't make it to the 2 meetings we've set up, or they have more questions for their township or their municipality, 1 of the 5, 2 of the 5, whoever would go to their township meetings or municipality meetings to discuss this. So we're making sure everybody's getting a picture here. We would like to see by October 16th that the town board or councils give a commitment, and that'll be the deadline. We want to know that you are interested by October 16th of this year. So we'll have the meetings, we'll show the interest, they take it back to their boards, back to their committees, back to their town boards and say, yes, we have an interest. Because until we know how many people have an interest, we don't know where we can go with it. We're asking for that. Late October 2026, the ad hoc committee meeting will appoint 2 liaisons to go to the steering committee. The steering committee then will be the township, and we'll have 2 liaisons that are there, maybe not each, maybe 1 at a time, but 2 people that can go there to see what are your needs, what do you want, what are the things you have. The steering committee will also have to set county guidance, county assistance for goals and limitations. What does that mean? How much are they going to need attorney time? Probably starting out, they will. So the county needs to set how many hours? 10 hours, 5 hours. What's the county's limitations and what we do to get the ball rolling to turn it over to the steering committee? They're going to have questions about budget. They're going to have questions about resources. Those questions then come back through those liaisons to gather that information. Timeline continued. The purpose of the Township Municipality Steering Committee is to begin an organization that can gather information to build a structure to create an EMS district. It's the step 1. All right. We would like to see a steering committee, or the public safety has suggested that in November of 2026, the first steering committee meets with the municipalities and townships. That would be their first meeting. At that point, they would determine who would be on a committee. They would appoint a chair and a vice chair and a secretary, and they would determine the subcommittees. December, we would recommend the second steering committee meeting of the townships and municipalities. They can make appointments to the subcommittee meetings, and they can create their timeline for the process. The sooner they create a district, the sooner they're available for funds under the innovation grant. Okay. Steering committee role, the county role in the steering committee. Be a liaison between the county and the municipalities, assist with finding resources, provide minimal legal advice if requested. And we believe that the current service director should attend all the meetings to assist in the process. We believe that the liaisons of the group should report to the Public Safety Standing Committee on the goals achieved. Public Safety Standing Committee, Public Safety Judicial Standing Committee can then appoint that back to the county board or to whoever we feel necessary. But we feel that having goals and seeing those goals hit is very important. Once the steering committee is operational, further discussions reference the current organizational transfer can be discussed. We can't discuss too much until we have a committee started. The Public Safety Committee then added some very good suggestions, and here were their suggestions. The following are additional recommendations for the ad hoc committee to accomplish. 1, send a letter to all municipalities with an explanation of what is going on and inviting them to participate in the future meetings. We've already asked that the chair do that along with Shirley Welty to handle that and to come up with a letter, and I believe you guys have drafted something to begin with that. Prepare talking points for the board members to use when engaging with the community. Host town hall meetings to present and listen to the community. Provide a draft resolution to the municipalities outlining their intent to engage in the creation of a district. We would ask those municipalities and townships to vote at their board. We'll have a draft resolution that they can approve saying they are interested. That gives us a number of people that we can start working. That's the basis of it, and you'll see the resolution before you. Open for discussion at this point. Any questions?
So I just want to remind supervisors here, this is as a county board, this is our approach that we feel would be a success. However, townships ultimately, by state statute, have the ability to, or shall provide EMS service. They could at some point disregard whatever we want and say they want to go it this way. We're giving them an opportunity to work with them and to keep EMS going right now until they work out a solution. I do think that the towns are moving really fast right now, and they're pushed by a couple townships that are displeased with the levy that we've come up with. And so I don't know if their due diligence is going to be done enough, but I would hope that those towns that need our service, I see about 6 townships here represented right now, maybe 7 in this room that might need Richland County EMS. And I hope that they speak up and say, this is what they would want. Because right now we're hearing, I guess I shouldn't say I have heard more, I guess, not wanting to have this done by townships that are not served by Richland County EMS. And I have not heard the ones that are already receiving service from Richland County EMS. Have not heard anything except for one last night, and that was the town of Ithaca spoke up. But so just know that, hey, we're creating this. We want to do this. We want to work with them. But ultimately, they could choose to do whatever they want to do, and it'll be out of our hands at that point. But we're putting a good faith effort over with them and wanting to help them. So
I feel it's a good plan, and talking with the townships we did last night, the group in Willow, I think it's the starting point to make this happen. So, yes, sir.
Define EMS, it's just ambulance? Is it include first responders or just, or is it just ambulance?
It could include first responders.
And that, again, that'd be a point up to the district.
They're called EMRs right now, emergency medical responders, and right now there's only.
But it's not fire, it's just ambulance. EMS just ambulance.
EMS right now for Richland County is just, yes.
Just one of the ways to frame this, really helpful, by Andy Phillips, I think he words, is that the county is taking a bridge position. You're creating a bridge to see if the township can walk over that and get that land. So I think that's a really helpful way to talk about that.
Supervisor Schmidt?
It's a much needed, well, we know it's most important, public safety is paramount for everybody. I think what I hear, and is it Ursula?
Yes.
Just for the ones that aren't supported by the district that she feels that are getting taxed, just as full transparency. I mean, you made it clear with the transmission lines, the dispatch. We all know we have to have it, and that's county service. I think the taxpayers of the county are owed a full disclosure of this is this pot of money is going here, this pot of money going here, and here's for the goodwill for the rest of the county. As you speak, you know, because of the ones that aren't being served directly by it, they may get a payment out of that pool of money.
Correct.
But just so there's just as the transmission lines, no transparency. I mean, it's obvious. This, you know, it just need full disclosure.
And so there, when we put this levy out there, on our citizens, that money can only be used for EMS, and that includes the radio towers, EMS, and Richland County EMS. And we do give a portion back to other services, such as the Lone Rock EMS, Casanova EMS, Viola, Kickapoo Valley Rescue Squad, Blue River.
So it does go across county lines.
Does, yes. Just for EMS purposes
Right.
only. We can't take this money, put it in and pay off something else. It's only for the EMS.
So, and I thank you for your questions, because we do have the documentation for the, where these numbers came from, how many years of the service have been budgeted, and how we've broken that down. So, and just sitting down, you're catching the hot stuff right away. But I mean, all those budget sheets are available, and we've been asked for them by a few people, and we'll definitely produce them to anybody that wants them and where these came. Sorry.
Sir Carroll?
I would say even beyond just they're available, actively push it out. Send them the breakdown. So that, I mean, I would like to see it. That way it's even more transparent.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And just as a reminder, they're in past packets. This is stuff that's been in packets that has been shared at previous meetings.
Shirley?
It's my understanding though that the information that was shared in previous packets isn't final. It's draft, it's as best was known at that time. It will change what we have in our packets as information is defined. A better determination is made about what will be provided in 27 and 28.
Yeah, the sooner this group chooses to, if they so choose to, create the district and get that going, the sooner this board can look at what that tax levy really is. Because as soon as that district's created, that district can tax their own district. They can levy against their own district. It doesn't have to be the entire counties bringing money into that district. When this district started, they can make that to their own service people, and that helps the county across the board, so.
We still may have tax to pay for
the radio
towers and dispatch and all that, so there's always gonna be something.
Crazy.
He did a presentation.
So on council is saying that we need to have a motion to create, that you heard from Supervisor Frank. So a motion by Supervisor Perry, seconded by Supervisor Nolan to create and assist in formation of an EMS district with an ad hoc committee. Is there any further discussion on it? All right, so we're just creating the district. There's no members to that.
Not creating the district, we're creating the.
Yes, creating the ad hoc committee
Ad hoc
for
committee.
the creation of a district with that.
6:35. What I made my vote. Resolution
2635, yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. So that formation of an ad hoc committee has now been created. In just a little bit, we will talk about the appointments to that committee. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 11, Special orders of business, we've already did 11A. We're gonna go to 11B, appointment of an ambulance service director. So Administrator Clements.
We'll have Tracy Long, our HR director, take the lead on this.
We interviewed, we had 4 candidates that applied. The 3-member panel, we interviewed 4 candidates. From those 4 candidates, we have selected Brian Hayes. Brian Hayes he has 13 years of EMS experience, with progressively increasing responsibilities from EMTV, AMT, paramedic to service director for Fenimore Area Rescue Squad. He owns his own business. His vision for the ambulance service is to provide the highest level of care possible for the service area. To be myself, I look forward to working with Brian. And welcome to Richland County.
Can you repeat his last name, please?
Hayes.
How do you spell that?
H-E-I-S.
Okay, thank you.
So the administrator by statute is allowed to appoint department heads with county board approval. So she went through the process of interviewing. I do believe Supervisor Frank was involved with that. So we did have county board representation in that process. So now it's up to us to accept him or deny that. But right now I'd like to give time for Mr. Hayes to talk. I guess you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Brian Hayes. I'm a Fenimore resident, born and raised, so I'm in a small town. I've been in EMS for 15 years. I guess you could say it's kind of my passion now. I look forward to working with everybody. Rural EMS is kind of my life. I look forward to helping the service grow by the residents of Richland Center, Richland County area.
Have you done anything for Fenimore EMS as far as district wise or?
I've been working with the municipalities, trying to get something together. We've been trying to change there to get a district going. It's like basically like you said with that innovation grant, that's the best way to help the municipalities is to form a district, and there's more availability for districts.
Any supervisors have any questions? Mr. Williamson?
So your EMS runs with your same as your fire district? Your EMS district is the same as your fire
Our
district?
our EMS is in Fenimore. It's basically like a private.
Okay.
We're our own entity in Fenimore, so it's basically they started 7 years ago, and we just kind of carried on with offering the service as it stands with like a handshake 7 years ago. It's still how we're kind of working now in Fenimore.
But does it follow the lines of the fire district?
Mostly, yeah. There's some crisscross, like I'm sure most of them, but mostly we follow the same.
Any other questions for supervisors from supervisors to Administrator Clements' appointment? Motion would be appropriate now to accept Supervisor Turk. Supervisor Turk makes a motion to select Brian Hayes as our new EMS director, seconded by Supervisor Nolan. Is there any further discussion?
Start date?
Other questions on our motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Now let's approve it.
Agenda item number 11C, special orders of business appointment to various boards, committees, and commissions. The Committee on Committees has met earlier tonight at 5 o'clock. We did decide on a few members to go, so we do have 2 new supervisors filling in District 19 and District 20. District 19 is represented by Supervisor Schmidt, and District 20 is represented by Dwayne McElvin. You'll get there. Okay, so the Committee on Committees decided that supervisor who would fill District 19 would fill the standing committee of public safety and the parks, the Richland Center Parks, no, library, the library, planning committee. So, Supervisor Miller, relinquished her spot on public safety and gave that up. So Supervisor in District 19 would be able to be on the public safety committee, which is law enforcement and judiciary. And then in District 20, that supervisor would fill the community and health services committee, which was vacated by, relinquished by Supervisor Engel, and then also be a part of the Richland Center Parks Board. So those are the two committees. There could be some more committees coming up, but right now those are the two, and each have a standing committee. So everybody on this board right now is on a standing committee. So. Yep, your District 19.
No, what were what was the public safety?
Public safety, and it's going to be certainly, it will be changed to public safety and judiciary soon, but, and then the library planning committee. Supervisor McGuire relinquished his spot on that. We also did discuss the new formation of an EMS district. And so there were supervisors for that were selected from the committee on committees. So as was alluded in what you approved in that presentation for the formation of that was the county board chair be an automatic sitting member of that committee. And right now the committee on committees chose to have Supervisor Frank, Supervisor Welty, Supervisor Schoonover, and Supervisor Kramer to be a part of that committee. Supervisor Kramer is outside of the Richland EMS area and represents those towns that are outside of the EMS district. Or not, district, the EMS service area for Richland County EMS. Then I would represent the town of Richland Ward 1 and all of Ithaca Township. And Shirley does Dayton Township, maybe a little bit of Aiken, and Bob, you do the city of Richland Center. So, you okay with that? I guess the motion would be to approve all of those, what I just mentioned. So with District 19, District 20's committee assignments and this formation of the ad hoc committee. Motion by Supervisor Welty, seconded by Supervisor Perry. Any discussion on those committee assignments? All right, not hearing any discussion. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries.
So the Housing Authority has reached out and has asked that there be 2 appointments made to their board, 2 citizen appointments. Our Appendix A states that this is a county board responsibility to make these appointments. So they're asking that Debbie Richards and Amber Morrison be appointed to the Housing Authority board. The term would run July of 2026 through July of 2031.
What is your pleasure?
Make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Kramer, seconded by Supervisor Nolan. Any discussion on those appointments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. I think we should take a little bit of a break right now, maybe a 5 to 8 minute break. So we're gonna let you guys go to the bathroom and do whatever. Yes, it's a little warm in here too. And then we're gonna convene back at 20:10. Have the county board supervisors take their seats. We're still missing 2. I did see that they were making their way here. One's coming in and the other one should be right behind them. All right. Looks like we have everybody that's here that was, so we'll go on to our next agenda item. Don, you started the recording? Okay. Agenda item number 12, which is a resolution creating a new economic support league.
And that is me. Hopefully I talk loud enough for everybody. So before you tonight is a resolution where we're requesting to create an economic support lead position. Last year, the federal government, in the bill they had passed last year, they created penalties for states with a food share quality control error rate greater than 6%. The state of Wisconsin is facing penalties that could run up to $205.5 million if they exceed those penalties. And those penalties will end up trickling down to the counties that will have to pay a portion of those penalties. So, earlier this year, the state of Wisconsin passed Act 116. And it was signed on March 24th, 2026, and it provides $11.4 million to income maintenance consortium to hire staff to do quality control reviews before they even determine eligibility and then hopefully avoid this higher rate. So what's happening is leads are being hired across the consortium. There's 8 counties in the capital consortium, which we are a member of. And they're going to have to QC at least 1,000 future cases per month. That's going to be the requirement of the state. So each county in the consortium was requested to create a lead position that will be funded by the Act 16 funding. And so that's the resolution here before you tonight. And it's to be effective immediately because the funding wasn't made available July 1st. So to get this started, get hired so we can start checking those cases.
Clerk Harrison, would you be able to read the resolution for us?
Resolution number 2637. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to create an additional economic support lead position as long as the position is legislatively funded. This came to us from the Community and Health Services standing.
You've heard the resolution. What is your pleasure? A motion by Supervisor McKee and seconded by Supervisor Perry to adopt resolution number 26-37. We did hear a background. Is there any further discussion or comments? Supervisor Carroll.
Well, the theory is with this new position, we will be able to hold error rate below 6%.
That's the hope.
That's what I wondered, how assured are we that that would be the case?
I don't know that we're 100% sure that will be the case, but I think by doing these checks determination that it'll keep that under. It's the whole state of Wisconsin that's adding positions. So that's the goal. That's the goal. And the more cases QC, the better it is to keep that down.
Any other questions? New economic support lead. Supervisor Nolan.
So I was $11.4 million just to hire the staff to do the quality control reviews.
Statewide, correct?
Statewide.
Statewide, yes. And this position is fully funded through that, including the overhead to have that position in their building. I did add on here though that it will remain as long as it's legislatively funded, because the agreement is that if we end up starting to pay the tax levy, that we'll have to see how things are going.
Supervisor Williamson.
Do we have to provide desk or is that part of the funding?
We are already all set up over there. We have a place for the person to meet. We're actually going to take one of our current economic support specialists and hopefully, well, we're going to post it if one of the internal candidates apply, and we'll just shift. But we do have space in our cubicles over there because that particular unit has several staff that actually work remote. So, and we have spare computers already in all the
so, any other comments for supervisors? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 13, which is a resolution changing the name of Public Safety Standing Committee. Clerk Harrison.
Resolution number 2638. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors renames the Public Safety Standing Committee as the Public Safety and Judiciary Standing Committee. Directs this title to be promptly updated in all county publications, agendas, online resources, including the Richland County official government website. Be it further resolved that this resolution will be effective upon passage and publication. And this came from the Public Safety Standing Committee, soon to be Public Safety.
For the resolution, what is your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Carroll, seconded by Supervisor Kramer. We have a background. Casey?
Thank you to the committee members of both Public Safety and Executive and Finance for supporting this.
It corrects an error that was made a couple of years ago when the committee, decades known as public safety and judiciary, and former to that, law enforcement and judiciary, was named and the judiciary was dropped. I'm sure that was just simply an oversight and an omission, but I'm making sure that it gets corrected. And so I'm asking for your help in doing that. Thank you.
Discussion for Supervisor McGuire.
Yeah, I'm proud that you corrected that, but just exactly what is the reason, or what is the, is there a negative reason for not having it, saying
Can I answer that?
that? Yeah.
Well, the judiciary is the entire third branch of government. You guys are the legislative branch here in the county, as Tony represents the legislative branch in the state. Sheriff's Department is your executive branch. They carry out the directives, and the judiciary resolves the conflicts. When you omit the word judiciary from everything, it is like you are ignoring an entire branch of government. I think that's reason.
All right, sounds good enough to me.
Questions, comments? Supervisor Frank, chair of that committee, got anything to say?
No, it's a change that makes sense. Stacy has brought it up a few times. I did postpone the voting on it only because I wanted to wait until the new committee came in April. So we had a little delay on that. I think you brought it up late last year.
I brought it up.
Yeah.
So times.
So until we got that transition, we brought it up. And I think it also lets people know if there's a questions about the court, what committee to go to, as was brought up. So I think there's some things up.
Any further discussion? Now I'm gonna call a vote on resolution number 26-38, which is changing the Public Safety Committee to the Public Safety and Judiciary Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to a resolution or agenda item number 14, which is a resolution to transfer the LWCF, which is Land Water Conservation Fund grant property to the Richland School District. This would be those set of tennis courts at the Simon Center and the soccer fields that are just below that. So Clerk Harrison.
Resolution number 2636. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is granted to transfer the land that is a part of the LWCF grant to the Richland School District. And now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval be granted to transfer the grant to the Richland County School District. Be it further resolved, this is approved upon passage and publication, and this came from Public Works.
For the resolution, what's your pleasure? Supervisor Williamson moves, seconded by Supervisor Welty. Have a discussion or background, I guess?
Yes, I can provide some background. So last winter, this board approved selling 2 buildings and some of the land to the school district. As we've been working through this process, we found that this grant is there, that we cannot step away from the grant, as if we do step away, that voids our ability to get any future grants. It is a grant that is in perpetuity for forever. And so when we have been looking through this and trying to finalize the land sale, we found that we have to transfer the whole property in the grant as a whole. We can't piecemeal it, and some of it stays with us, some of it goes with the school. The school has agreed to take on the grant. We've been working with the DNR to get that process done. So we're asking that the additional property be transferred to the school district. There is some stuff that we're going to have to do, like the Simon's parking lot is in there, easements are in there, but that's all stuff that we will work out before everything is finalized.
Supervisor Schmidt.
How much is the grant and what does it entail?
What the grant was, we received it in 1981, and it paid for the tennis courts and the basketball courts to be built. So because we got those funds to build that, all of that land has to stay accessible for public activities.
And the issue is if we don't transfer it, then we're just invalid. We can't apply for any grants to the DNR in the future. No matter what they are here henceforth.
In the dollar amount was
minimal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's back in the go.
Yeah.
Supervisor Engel?
We have a school board member present. Just want to acknowledge Scott Bailing. Scott, I don't know if you have anything to say. Welcome to it. Nope.
Actually, two members present?
Well, they are, but she's not going to say anything. Welcome, Scott.
Supervisor Williamson, do you have anything to add from the Public Safety Standing Committee? Not Public Safety. Public Works Standing?
No.
Supervisor Turk, do you have anything?
No, just to reiterate that, you know, because of this minimal grant, some 45 years ago, this is all tied up and we have to transfer the responsibility for that whole thing. And thankfully, the school district is willing to take it on, which will maintain accessibility for the public to use that land for recreational use. So.
Dan? Supervisor McGuire?
Just to clarify, did you say Richland County School District?
No, the Richland School District. I mean, I might have misspoken, but it is the Richland School District.
Shouldn't we use the word public school district instead of county?
I don't think it was listed that way.
I think
No, it says-
legally, it's the Richland Center School District is probably.
Richland, yeah, grant to the Richland School District. from the
That's
county.
probably their legal entity name.
Just for
Correct.
clarification.
Yep.
Works out. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Extensions.
I will abstain, being that I am.
Okay, we do have one abstention. Motion still passes. Agenda item number 15 is resolution regarding or relating to a 2026 computer and hazmat equipment grant.
Resolution number 2639. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Emergency Management Department to apply for and accept the Wisconsin State Computer and Hazardous Materials Response and Equipment Grant. With this grant being an equipment grant through WEM's Hazmat Team Equipment Grant Program. And with the grant to cover $8,000 of the cost of a laptop, smartboard, and a two-way radio, Richland County will be covering $2,000, which is the 20% local share county match. Be it therefore resolved that approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication brought to us by Public Safety.
For the resolution, what's your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Kramer, seconded by Supervisor Williamson. Background on this that I can think of is that we have applied for this grant every single year. We've always went jointly with Vernon County to help out with their hazmat stuff. And this year, Vernon County has chosen not to be involved with that process. Supervisor Frank, do you want to?
Yeah, Vernon County said they didn't have any needs that fit into this grant this time. So.
Supervisor, Administrator Clements, do you want to?
No, I agree with everything that's been said. Vernon County has said that they have everything they need right now, almost have a abundance of items. So they said for this year, you guys keep the whole grant and use it for things.
So it's pretty big for us right now because we did not get that full amount because we always split it with Vernon. All right, any further discussion? More? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 16 is a resolution on repairs to the roof of the Tri-County Airport. Clerk Harrison?
Resolution number 2640. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county administrator is approved to work with Sauk County to make the payment of 30% of the total cost once the project is completed. And be it further resolved that this is effective upon passage and publication brought up by Executive and Finance.
For the resolution, what's your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Thompson, seconded by Supervisor Kramer. You have a background, Tricia?
Yeah, so we co-own the Tri-County Airport with Sauk County. We have an agreement with them that says we will cover 1/3 of the expenses. The roof has been bad, for my understanding, for many, many years. And it is now time to repair it. They did go out and get bids and they accepted a bid for around $95,000 for it to be fixed. They are guessing that there might be change orders that come because it's in pretty bad shape. There's lots of curves to it. And so we are asking for your authorization to have us pay 30% at the end when the project is complete.
Supervisor Williamson, he also sits on that committee, him and Supervisor Cooey. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, we had federal money to do this originally. They took the federal money because we didn't have a 10-year plan, using the federal money to do the 10-year plan, which will probably take almost 10 years to do the 10-year plan, the way it's going. So yeah, we have birds that are getting in through the soffit. So it's well overdue with the drainage ditch that has been put in. They have not had any flooding. We have not had a 7-inch rain event yet either. So, but that was all federal money, other 10% that we split with Sauk County. So Tri-County was 3 counties. Iowa County got out when I first got on the board 10 years ago.
2016.
Yeah, and so now, but to change it to bi-county, no, they've never had that happen anywhere in the state. I don't even know if it ever happened in the United States. It took quite a while to approve, and some of you that are on the board were involved with the approval of letting Iowa County out of the airport. They do have an airport, if you know where it is, by Mineral Point. So they decided to get out. But one thing I wanted to add, I just got the numbers today from Cardinal. They have a voice on the committee. They have a new multi-million-dollar hangar down there. They love to use that airport to come into Spring. But 33% of their associates, they call them, come from Richland County, and the payroll is over 22 million. So we are it is the highest percentage out of all the. I'll find out if they're okay with us sharing that to the full county board from the representative that is on the committee before. I shared it with Mr. Cooey and I sent it to Tricia this morning or today when I got it. But it's the business is really picking up. So my plan is still to have a meeting in the Tri-County Airport or in the Tri-County Airport building, but actually in the Cardinal hangar. And then we would tour the solar farm that's also down there within almost a mile. So I don't know if I'll get it done this year, but I have had approval from Cardinal to do that. We're going to need Wi-Fi. It might be a little bit. Stay tuned.
Steve, now this is a repair, not a replace.
Yeah, it's a roof. It's got 3 roof lines. It's going to replace the windows, all the windows, and 3 of the 5 doors. A lot of the repairs covered under flooding previously, but none of the exterior. The exterior, if you ever drive by there, T111 board that's falling off, and softening, falling off. It was
Supervisor Carroll?
Just wondered how it's decided to use tower savings, pay for it, and how much more tower savings.
We decided to use tower savings because we have some, and we needed to do this because we already had approved our capital improvement projects for 2027. So we would have had any other funding source. I still think we'll have, I hate to have to be quoted on this, but over 100,000 left over after this.
Write that down.
Can we explain what tower funding or funds that we have left? What is tower funds? I guess could we?
Yeah, so we went out to bond, I believe, 4 years ago for the tower project and what that project was.
Radio tower project.
And what that was to build, I believe, 6 additional tower sites to improve the communication for our fire, ambulance, and sheriff's department. So we're in the final stages. We're hoping to do our final dry testing on August 10th, and then after that, system will be officially up and running and it'll be complete. The system was turned over to us from GenCom in, I think it was April or May of this year.
So the funding for the towers was borrowed money that we did go out and borrow money for that. So could we have given that money back or per se to our constituents. We could have. On the other end of that, we still would have had to pay for this roof that would have come out of our general operating budget. So
And for you new supervisors, we had dead spots in the county for deputy sheriffs. Were blind out there. They couldn't call for help, couldn't call for assistance. Same way with the fire department, there were times they couldn't get it. That's what we put in the dollars.
is there any other discussion on our roofing project at Tri-County Airport? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So agenda item number 17 is a resolution canceling stale tax certificates. Clerk Harrison?
Resolution 2641. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for canceling the following tax certificates for tax year 2013, spelled out there. Be it further resolved that $857.95 is hereby appropriated from the general fund to the canceled tax certificates account in the 2026 county budget. And be it further resolved, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage and publication. This comes from Executive Finance.
Further resolution, what's your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor McKee, seconded by Supervisor Perry. Treasurer Mott.
So the scale checks, this happens every single year, and this year it is for tax year 2013. A lot of the properties that are listed here, projection, are contaminated parcels that are properties that we do not take by tax deed. So a lot of the parcels or properties that you see up there, the ones that we constantly write off every single year. And contaminated properties can be old cheese factories, dry cleaners, possible hazard spills, tanks, things like that, that the county would feel as though they could take that by tax deed. And that is why they're not.
Any questions, concerns, comments?
I have a question. Will it be like forever with these properties? This way, you know?
So that would be up to whether or not the county would like to take those and do remediation projects on those. And that would be up to,
So you're talking about maybe the county taking on a tax deed, taking over ownership of that property, is what you're saying, correct?
correct.
And there's a process for that.
There's a huge process. And there are grants that, you can get for remediation in certain projects. And that would be something that we would all have to look into. There's quite a few on there from the DNR and from the state of Wisconsin, and a couple of academic developmental places in the state. So that does take time. You just have to do it. And, there are timelines that you have to follow when you do.
The way I understand this is that, these stale tax certificates are deleting after 11 years, right? And so that money's gonna be gone, but now next year, they still have to pay a tax, correct?
Yeah, so they still keep accumulating tax, but we're writing off the ones that are.
Unless the county goes through the process on.
That would cost more. With it.
Other questions, concerns for Ashley? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So we got agenda item number 18 was a resolution canceling stale county checks.
Resolution number 2642. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the following county checks drawn on the Richland County Bank are hereby canceled. List. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately on passage and publication brought forth by Finance, our Executive Finance.
So you've heard that resolution. Willing to make a motion? Motion by Supervisor Williamson, seconded by Supervisor Welty. Your names up there who have those checks, once we vote to cancel them, not allowed to claim that money. Well, yeah.
Technically, yes, and I can go over that. So we'll write them off on our books. And then they'll go through the unclaimed funds process. So there'll be a publication in February, a unless they submit a claim to me before that, and then they can submit a claim after the publication.
Supervisor Nolan?
Has due notice been sent out?
So these ones, I do not send those out, mainly because we do several different options. I do reach out to some of the department heads, periodically to let them be informed that their vendors cannot cash their checks. But they will also be publicized in the paper as well. And that happens every month. Otherwise, it costs a few dollars to send all that.
Any other comments, questions? Call for a vote then. All those in favor of this resolution 26-42 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. I take it that motion has carried, the way I heard it. The ayes have it over the nays. So.
He said aye, so he did say aye.
He did say aye. Yes, I saw him say aye.
I heard him say aye. He's just
Call
following
response
later.
stuff there.
Agenda item number 19 is an ordinance relating to parcel 002-0444-1000 and 002-0444-2000. Clerk Harrison.
Ordinance number 2619, amendment number 652 to Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 119, zoning related to parcel 002-0444-1000 and 002-0444-2000. This ordinance shall be effective on passage and publication. This came from Natural Resources.
Here's the resolution or the ordinance. What is your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Carroll, seconded by Supervisor Williamson. You have a background?
Jen Fry, I'm here from the zoning department. Cooper Landon, zoning director, is here, but she was unable to be here tonight. This is two parcels in Egan Township totaling 38 acres. It was split and sold to two separate landowners and was deemed illegal non-conforming. The current owner actually purchased both parcels. So now that they own over 35 acres, it is legal to go back to ag forestry. For those of you that don't normally see it going into ag forestry, normally we're zoning out of that. But there's farmland preservation credits that are available based on that zoning designation. So we want to get it from that illegal back into the proper zoning district.
Comments, concerns? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The ordinance carries. So agenda item number 20 is an ordinance relating to parcel 032-1311-2000. Harrison?
Ordinance number 2620, amendment number 653 to the Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 119, zoning related to parcel 032-1311-2000. Meets bounds follow. This ordinance shall be effective on passage and publication, again from Natural Resources.
For the ordinance reading, what's your pleasure? Supervisor Perry, seconded by Supervisor Welty. Background again?
Most of this parcel was already ag res, but it was never split off as a separate parcel. We have a new survey map slightly redrawing the parcel lines. So we have to get the proper description in the new ordinance, and then I believe selling off the rest.
Discussion, comments? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 21 is an ordinance relating to parcels 020-3334-2000 and 020-4021-2000. Clerk?
Ordinance 2621, amendment number 654 to the Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 119, zoning related to parcel 020-3334-2000 and 020-4021-2000. Ordinance shall be effective on passage and publication. and this came from natural resources.
For the ordinance reading. It's your pleasure, supervisors. Motion by Supervisor Turk, seconded by Supervisor Williamson. Background?
On this one, they are both legal non-conforming. These are two parcels between Highway 60 and the Wisconsin River. Used to be the site of an old bar and has been vacant for some time. So they're selling the property now, and in order for it to be usable for something, 2.16 acres is suitable as a residential site.
Like the old Eagle.
Riverside.
Riverside?
Riverside. Yeah. Might be in the river now.
Push it over. Any comments, questions, concerns? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 22 is an ordinance relating to parcels 020-0624-1000 and 020-0613-5000. Clerk?
Ordinance number 2622, amendment number 655 to the Richland County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 119, zoning relating to parts of parcel 020-0624-1000 and 020-0613-5000. This will be effective on passage and publication coming from natural resources.
For the ordinance, read. What's your pleasure? Supervisor Carroll, second by Supervisor Welty. Background?
Are splitting off, I believe they're 65 acres that they own there. And keeping the house and the outbuildings on 4.15 acres. So it will go to residential.
Comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 23 is correspondence. Has there been any correspondence, clerk?
There are two items in there. I believe they are both resolutions coming to us, one from the Village of Viola and I believe I can't remember where the other one is
Buena
coming.
Vista.
Buena
Vista.
Buena Vista, thank you. So basically, you'll see them in your packet, just copies of resolutions they put forward for our information.
So this is for information, no action. Both Village of Viola and the town of Buena Vista are opposing the countywide levy that we are on EMS. They've addressed their concerns and their board voted on that. And they wanted to inform us that of their resolution that they have. There's no action by us needs to be taken. Richard?
I got some background. The housing authority met last Wednesday, and Sandy Cook requested that the board approve applying more federal rent assistance money to cover individuals that are aging out of the system, the foster system. So, because many of them have no place to go, no jobs. This will help the transition from the foster care to.
Anything else on correspondence, clerk?
Nope.
Dan, you received something? Yeah.
The Village of Lone Rock has recently gone through and upgraded their ordinances, okay? And about things that happen within the community. Now, I've known there's ordinances within the county that are not quite the same. So my question is, when Lone Rock gets done with upgrading all their ordinances, do they have to share this with the county or not?
I would defer that to Corporation Council. That question.
They choose to share the ordinance with us, but that has no bearing at all.
Okay. What if, okay, one more question. What if you were a taxpayer and resident, Village of Lone Rock, and the county has an ordinance that you wish Lone Rock? What do you do about that?
Do they
So if the county has an ordinance that the town wants or the village wants.
Yeah, well, at least some individual.
You think we have to
They would-
talk about this?
They would want to, yeah, we'll talk
Yeah,
about it.
we'll talk about this after. How's that sound? All right, agenda item number 24, future agenda items. All right, you can always contact me if you need to, Administrator Clements or Clerk Harrison, want something added. Agenda item number 25, adjournment. Supervisor Perry, second by Supervisor Welty. Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, thank you all for coming and thank you guys for coming.
They would need to have their